Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Is this thing on? Oh, good.
I am so viscerally afraid of accidentally texting the chief of police. Kind of weird, that's all she wrote. You are in my thoughts and prayers in perpetuity. Now, mind you, I don't even have the chief of police's phone number, and why would I? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Monologuing. I'm Mads Mitch, and I'm your host today and always because, well, quite frankly, this is literally my podcast, so who else is going to host it? Happy freaking Monday. It is Monday, September 15th, I think. Happy Monday, September 15th, I think. I hope you had a fabulous weekend. I hope you're feeling well rested and rejuvenated and ready to tackle whatever life might throw at you this week, and I don't think that that's asking too much of your favorite podcast host. This week's episode, it's going to be very laid back, very chill, as opposed to most episodes, which are obviously akin to an action thriller movie, high stakes, high intensity. Kidding, of course, but honestly, I just did not have the mental or emotional bandwidth to sift through write-ins today and to be all haha silly, everything's fine and the world isn't on fire. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm having one of those days. I still want this episode to be, fun and upbeat and light. So I thought to make my life easier, because let's face it, the world does in fact revolve around me. The rumors are true. I am just doing a Q&A. So I had you guys ask some questions on the podcast Instagram. Fabulous reason to be following the podcast on Instagram. I don't think we've ever done a Q&A on the podcast, so that's fun. That's exciting. I'm excited to dive into your questions, but first and foremost, let's jump into Act 1, life updates, and cheers and tears. My cheers for this week, that's a tough one. That's a tough question. I think I have mastered the art of using my Dyson Airwrap, and that a win is a win, babe. A win is a win. I've had a Dyson Airwrap kicking around for like a year, 2 years now, probably. And I just have never mastered the art of it. It is something that you truly do have to master. Like, you have to perfect that craft. And I just never could. I would go through phases where I would try, and it would just always, like, it was one of those things where I would start doing my hair, and by the time I was done, the entire first half would have fallen out. And then if I waited another 45 seconds flat, the other half of my hair would have fallen out. So it was just, sorry, my hair wasn't falling out, just to be clear. It would have fallen flat. It would have just like fallen. Instead of giving the like beautiful volume that I was promised, I was giving nothing, and I hated that. But I have mastered the art of it. The secret, which probably isn't a secret and is probably very easy to access information that it just finally got through my skull recently, so probably not a life hack to most, is to wait until your hair is half dry. I was doing it when my hair was like dry or almost entirely dry, and that's no bueno. That wasn't helping anyone or anything. But if you do it when it's half dry, it's drying while it's curling, so it stays so much longer. Also, I want to make it clear, if you're watching on YouTube, this hair presently that you are seeing is not indicative of my Dyson Airwrap skills. Don't get it twisted. Although you can still probably see like a little bit of curl and wave, and that's from using the Dyson Airwrap 2 days ago. So that's pretty impressive, because I've done literally nothing to keep it this way. I've just been sleeping on it all willy-nilly. I've done nothing to preserve it, and yet she's still here. Okay. So that is, I think, my only cheers of the week. Oops, tears. Moving on to tears. I got my nails done. Yesterday, and I know what you're thinking. That should be a cheers. It isn't. I've had this issue since the beginning of the year, and I think it's very indicative of just like how the year has gone as a whole. Every single time I go get my nails done, they just kind of suck. And let me be clear, this is not a dig at my nail ladies. I've gone to 2 different nail ladies this year. I love them both. They both do a fabulous job. They always like get the shape and the length that I want to perfection. They do a fabulous job. The issue is my color selection. And I've never really had this issue, especially so redundantly, until this year. The main issue is that I do dip powder for my nails. So I get tips and then I do dip powder. If you don't know what dip powder is, it's like there's these little like canisters of literal powder, and the nail tech applies a layer of this like adhesive clear coat, and then you dip your nail in the powder and it holds, and you do a few layers of that, and it's like a whole process. But I've been doing that for like 7 years or something crazy like that now, and I love it. I haven't had any issues. I do think I will be switching in the near future. I want to try Gel X. My nail tech has been really really recommending that to me. So if anyone is a Gel X girly, like, let me know what your thoughts are. But the issue with the dip powder is that it's very hard to tell what the final product is going to look like, because when you look at the color in the canister, it's incredibly different. For instance, if you were to get jet black on your nails, the jet black powder would be like gray, like it would not look jet black at all, and then then the final product would be jet black. So it's incredibly hard to tell. And obviously nail salons supply like samples of them, but a lot of the samples I've learned are factory made. So the manufacturer of that nail powder provides those products with the samples, and the samples are just so off. They're so incredibly off. It's absurd. It's like actually false advertising. I don't know how it's legal. And so this is a qualm that I've had many, many times. Like, there were so many times in the spring where I was going for like a beautiful pastel color, like a very like a light blue that's almost white, but it is a tint of blue, and I would end up with bright teal nails, and that made me feel cheated, quite frankly. And the thing is, you don't know, like I said, you don't know until like the last second what it's really going to look like, which causes me to bite my tongue and hold back, because a lot of the times I've had experience where you trust the process and then you love the final product. And that just has not been my experience as of recently. And so the last set of nails I had, I absolutely loved. It was this bright orangey red. It was so fun, so pretty, a great like homage to end of summer nails. Like, they were perfect. They were beautiful. But I feel like every time I do a really bright, fun color, I want to get like a neutral after that. And so I wanted to get a neutral, and typically my go-to neutral will be a French manicure, or like a Funny Bunny, or a Let's Be Friends, which are both like very pale pink / whitish colors, which I love. And like, those are, Old Faithful, very reliable. However, I think when I'm pale, like, they just don't look great. So I wanted to get a neutral. And my biggest issue with this specific nail trip was I went into it so blind. I had literally no idea what color I wanted to get on my nails, which is always the riskiest thing that I could possibly do. Most of the time I go in with at least like, okay, I want to get a pastel. Okay, I want to get a red. Okay, I want to get a blue. I had no idea this time. I had literally no idea. And it's kind of a weird like transitional time, because I try to do my nails very like seasonally, and obviously we're not really in like the thick of fall yet. And a lot of fall colors are obviously like darker. Like, it's the burgundies, it's the chocolate browns, it's the navy blues, it's the dark greens. And I don't love always the way that like really dark colors look on my nails. So I kind of try to procrastinate that a little bit. And I like the way that like bright and lighter colors look on my nails. So I was like, let me find an in-between. Let me find like a fall color that's not super dark. And then I was also like, and I kind of do want a neutral. So I was like, what's a fall neutral? And I'm thinking a gray, I'm thinking a taupe, I'm thinking like a beige. Those colors are all so incredibly hard, because first of all, the issue that I've been having, which is that they don't end up looking the way that you think that they're going to look. But also, if they like blend too much into your skin tone, it's not looking good. It doesn't look good in any capacity ever at all. And so it's very much like a fickle game. You kind of have to get it. Like, I just got like a taupey color on my toes, and I actually love it. And it's because it's like, it is just like the right amount of shades darker than my skin tone, that there is that contrast, and it like looks good. The same cannot be said about the color of my nails. Okay. If you're on YouTube, that's what my nails look like right now. I thought it was going to be a very light gray. Like, that's what it was giving. I don't even know why I chose that. I was not obsessed with it when I chose it, which was also like a recipe for disaster, but I just like ran out of time, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do this one. It was like a taupey light gray. And I'll post on the podcast Instagram actually the difference in what the color actually showed up looking like and what it looked like on the sample. Worlds apart, literally worlds apart. I was so distraught at how different they were. And again, I didn't really know until the very last second, which is just such a bummer. I hate it. I think that this color is giving body being dragged out of a lake, and not in a good way. Like, it's just like, it's not giving whatever I thought it was going to be giving. And it does not help at all that I am like so ghostly pale. Like I have not seen the sun all summer, I feel as though, and that's just like not something that I'm loving personally. So that's just, it is simply what it is. But I'm hoping that if I switch to Gel X, I'll have a better time. I'm hoping I'll start having more fun, because then you use the gel polishes and then you can much more easily tell what the color is actually going to look like. So there's something to be said for that. So hopefully I will eliminate this problem going forward, but I am just depressed. Luckily, like I said, my nail tech, she kills it with the shape and the length. So that's good, because it's with your nails. Okay. If you're a person who like always gets your nails done, you probably can relate to this. You have to have at least 2 of the 3 things right: the color, the shape, or the length. If I had 2 things wrong, if I hated the color, which I do, and I hated the shape of it, I would not be like a good person right now. Do you know what I mean? Or if I hated the color and the length of it, like this would just be so much more of a miserable existence. So I feel very lucky that like at the bare minimum, like the shape and the length are perfection. Like couldn't ask for anything better. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at present. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers. When you think of body being dragged out of a lake, think of these nails. Someone was like, oh, it's giving Halloween. Yeah, like corpse Halloween. That's actually not what I want my nails to be looking like ever. But I appreciate the sentimentality of like it is seasonal, and that there is something to be said for that. Okay, let's see. Consumption corner. What have I been cooking or eating or watching or reading? Let me see. I have things written down here and I can't find them. Okay. Oh, I watched The Paper. The Paper is the Office spin-off show? ? This show was very confusing to me. Okay, so it's on Peacock. And my gripe with this show was I had no clue what it was going to be about ever at all. All of the trailers were giving nothing. They were giving confusion. I feel like, and to be fair, like I still am kind of feeling that way, that way about the show, mostly about the structure of the company. It's so bizarre to me. I've never heard of anything like it. Like I am so confused by it. I don't know if they're trying to do too much of that. I just don't understand it. And if you've watched the show, you know what I'm saying, hopefully. But, I kind of went into it with like little to no expectations, because I didn't really understand like what they were going for and like what the show was supposed to be. I also think it's hard with spin-off shows, because it's like how on par are you going to be to the original show? Like how much overlap is there going to be? And I think that is one thing that they did really well. Okay. And I'll get to that momentarily. The crazy thing about this show is it was renewed for season 2 before season 1 even came out. Huh? Where did you muster up that confidence from? That's insane. I love that for them. I love that for them. I love that for all of these actors and writers that will be employed for another season. That's fabulous. I'm wondering if they've already filmed season 2 and that's what's going on here, but which very well could be the case. And would make sense to like keep momentum going, to be able to release it quicker than most bingeable series on streaming services. But that was crazy to me, and so that kind of did leave me having high hopes going into it, because I was like, wow, they think it's really good. Like they must think it's really good that it has a season 2 already, before anyone's seen it. Like that's crazy. And so I watched it. I think the thing that they do really well is the overlap between The Office and The Paper. It's almost non-existent. There's Oscar from The Office is also in The Paper. He kind of serves the same purpose. He's like the same level, I would say, of character on The Paper as he is The Office. I thought he was going to be more of like a predominant figure in The Paper, but I think it's actually for the best that he kind of has like a similar role in that show. So I like that, and I like him and like the overlap that he's brought to the show, because the whole premise is that it's like the same documentary crew that was following the cast of The Office is following now this new company that bought out Dunder Mifflin. It's like that part is so confusing to me, because then this company that bought out Dunder Mifflin, they like sell toilet paper and they're also a functional newspaper. What do you mean by that? I'm so confused by that. And I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't know if there's a this is like a common thing that like most newspapers are also toilet paper companies. Like I don't know if I'm missing something there. I'm just like so confused by it, and like they're all operating in the same office. It's very, I don't get it. But, and I think that's why I was so fucking confused about what the show is going to be about, because they made it seem like, okay, this is this company that sells paper goods, but one of the goods is a newspaper. That's very confusing to me. And I still, like I said, still like not really clear on that. But I think only having Oscar as being the same character was smart. And I think that also they do have a few little nods throughout the season to Dunder Mifflin things and Dunder Mifflin characters and people. And I think that they did that very, very well and very tastefully. Like, it's not overkill. And it's good because it doesn't alienate new viewers or people who didn't watch or like The Office. Like, you wouldn't really be that confused. It's just like little things here and there. So I think that was definitely the right way to play it. I think it's good. I think I think there were definitely parts that were funny. There's definitely characters that I like. It was a little bit slow for me. I think that also, the first season is about establishing characters and things like that. So I'm curious to see what season 2 looks like. Like, that said, I obviously watched the entire season. So like, it's not like I was like, I can't really get through this. I watched the entire season. It's very quick, obviously, because it's like a half-hour comedy, so you fly through it. I think it's 10 episodes. So that was good. One of my gripes, though, and this is more so with TV as a whole recently, we have lost the art of a slow burn. One show that I think has actually done a slow burn well recently is Abbott Elementary. If you know, Janine and what's his name? What is his name? I'm losing my mind. I haven't watched that show in months because it's obviously hasn't been new. I think it starts in a couple weeks. That's exciting. Janine and what's his name? Oh my God. What is his name? This is going to kill me. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Maddie, stop getting distracted. They do a really good job at that. I think Abbott Elementary did a really good job at will they, won't they? They like each other, but they can't be together. They did a really good job at that. And The Office famously also did a really good job at the Jim and Pam, the back and forth, the will they, won't they. There's a lot of shows that from years and years ago that are really good at that. But and like I said, Abbott Elementary is obviously a much more recent example, but unfortunately they missed the mark. They missed the mark with this one and this show, and that has me bummed. That has me upset. There's actually there's 2 couples in this show that I'm like, okay, love, and both of them already, it's like, okay, like we need delayed gratification more so in our society, and I really believe that to be true. So that was a bummer, but yeah, I think everyone should give it a shot. Maybe it's your cup of tea. But certainly don't let, if you didn't like The Office or if you haven't watched The Office, don't let that preclude you from watching the show, because it's truly, truly, truly not a requirement. Okay, 2 things that I've been cooking that I've been obsessed with. I'm back on my avocado toast grind. Every single avocado I bought over the summer just kind of sucked. Like, it was either way too mushy and disgusting and like rotting on the inside, which was fun, or it was like rock solid and then it went from rock solid immediately to rotten. Like, there was no in between, which was really great. But I feel like I'm having access to better avocados right now, and that's a really beautiful thing, and I try to celebrate that and take advantage of that always. So I've been back on my avocado toast grind. I've discovered my new favorite avocado toast recipe. It's quick, it's easy, which is something that really can't be said for a lot of recipes that I tend to enjoy. It is ricotta and avocado toast. It's both of them together. This is my recipe at the moment, okay? A slice of, obviously, Trader Joe's sourdough bread. You can use any sourdough bread. You can use any bread you want, but probably sourdough if you love yourself. And so we're going to take a slice of sourdough. We're going to toast it to perfection. We are going to put down a layer of ricotta. The nice thing is you can add as much or as little ricotta as you want. But it adds a little something. It adds a little pizzazz. It makes it kind of creamier and richer. Then we add the avocado on top of it. And then I've been doing a couple things. One version of it, I've been doing blistered tomatoes. I just throw some tomatoes and olive oil and garlic in a pan and like saute that up. That's obviously the more complicated version of this, the more time consuming version of this. The other version, which I've been loving just as much, if not more, is a drizzle of honey and then red pepper flakes. And Trader Joe's now has a chili and onion crunch seasoning. Instead of like the in the jar with the oil, it's a seasoning. And so it's kind of like red pepper flakes, but it's I don't know, it's different. It's Trader Joe'sified. And I've been doing some of that as well. So it's like it kind of is essentially like spicy honey. You could also just do hot honey, but there's something satisfying about like the crunch of it. So that's something I've been obsessed with. It's basically like a hot honey ricotta avocado toast. It's so good. Hits every time. Has that balance of like sweet and spicy. I love it. And then another thing that I made this past week was a dip for apples, because it's like we're approaching apple season. I love apples, can't get enough of them. And I wanted to make like a little dip for my apples. I love apples and peanut butter. Like that's always a classic. I also famously love apples and apple butter. That was something I discovered last year and it was just like incredible, and it just hit for no good reason at all. But this is like a peanut butter dip. So it's Greek yogurt. I use like Faye 2%, so I can't be held responsible if you use a different kind of Greek yogurt. I used plain though. That's important, I think. I think the using plain and not like a vanilla is important. So I used plain Greek yogurt. Then I added peanut butter, and then I added vanilla and maple syrup. So I added the maple syrup obviously to sweeten things up. The vanilla just adds a little pizzazz. It kind of makes it taste like marshmallowy. And I think the important thing is like because peanut butter is so overpowering. So that's the nice thing, is you can put as much or as little peanut butter in as you want. But I think the peanut butter and the maple syrup and the like tartness of the Greek yogurt, the combination of all three of them, it's really a beautiful thing. It really, really is a beautiful thing. And it's like good for you because protein. Because protein, and we know how much I love getting my protein. And I don't think it's over obsessed in our society at all. I don't think it is really. So I really love that dip. It is something that this is just like a recipe that I came up with off the top of my head. So I obviously have no measurements for you. It's very much like a taste as you go. Like as I was mixing it, I was like, okay, it needs more peanut butter. Okay, I think it needs a little bit more maple syrup. So it's just kind of like you have to really perfect it as you go. But it's so good. And it's just kind of this like, it kind of tastes like peanut butter and fluff almost. I don't know. I really like it, and it's a little bit different, and it's a fun thing to have as a snack or even as like dessert. And you know how I feel about like fruit as dessert, but like this is good. It's good. Okay. Also another thing that you could add in there is granola, just to add a little bit of a crunch. Although I wouldn't let the granola sit in the dip if you were to keep it in your fridge, because I made like a big batch of it that's been in my fridge. Don't add the granola if you're going to have it sitting in your fridge. Add the granola when you're about to eat it. But that's fun too. So anyways, that's what I've been eating and watching. Okay, without further ado, let's get into your cues so I can A them. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go to the podcast Instagram first. I posted on both of my pages, but I want to prioritize the podcast girlies. All righty. What would your death row meal be? This is hard. This is so hard. My gut is saying, like, obviously it would be very expensive. Like there would be no holds barred here. Probably an everything bagel with scallion cream cheese and a tomato. That would definitely be like an appetizer. It's hard to say because so many of my favorite, oh God, this is really hard. Probably Raising Cane's. That would be a part of it. That would have to be a part of it. And then I'm gonna go with beef stew as well. And for dessert, see, there's so many appetizers I like. That's like the bane of my existence. But for dessert, probably a cheesecake of sorts. I'm going to have to go cheesecake. That is the most rogue meal ever. It's like kind of disgusting, kind of disturbing, but I I love those things. Those things mean so much to me. Okay. What made you start the podcast and how many listeners did you have at first? What made me start the podcast is that I wanted to yap. And that's the only good reason to start a podcast. I'm convinced. I did it right. I'm better than everyone. No, but that was what it was that I listened to podcasts and I was like, oh, I think I would have fun doing that. And so I started doing it. How many listeners did I have at first? Like 100 a week. I was very inconsistent with the podcast at first, to be fair. I've only been really consistent with the podcast for the last like 2 years, but yeah, that's what was going on. It is crazy. I always think back to that and I'm like, that's crazy that I did that. Like for no reason at all. Like no one had asked me to do that. That's kind of insane. Stereotypes about New England that are/aren't accurate. I mean, I do think the way that it is romanticized is accurate. It is accurate. But there's also bad things about New England too. The weather in the winter is bad. No good at all. I hate it. Boo, tomato. I don't like it at all. But like New England summer, I think is the way that it's like portrayed is the way that it is. And I mean that. And also the way that I'm a big fall girly. Fall is so beautiful in New England. And so I think that is all like portrayed very, very accurately. I think, but there is the misconception about like the winters do suck. So it is not like a utopian society in that sense, like, because we have an amazing summer and we have an amazing fall, but like the other literal half of the year is like not very fun. I also think there's like a stereotype about New Englanders being mean. And I think I have like very mixed feelings about this because I think to some extent it's extremely true. But I think to other extents, like having been other places, I always kind of expect other people in other regions of the country to be so much more friendly because of the way that like the New England stereotype is that like people are like so mean and like so like kind of just in their own world and like don't care about anyone else. I spent a lot of time down south and I've never once felt that it's a hospitable place, and I mean that, like, and I feel like I've done my fair share. Like I've spent long amounts of time down there and I don't feel like, wow, the people down here are so warm and welcoming. I don't really notice a difference. And like I've also, spent time in California. Even when I was like out in Utah, the people in Utah were pretty nice, to be fair. The Mormons are pretty nice. But I don't think that I personally don't notice a big difference. And maybe it's because I haven't lived in those places, and maybe it would be something that like over time I would get more exposure to. But I really don't think, like, I don't notice a big difference. So it's like, and I'm not saying that it's not true that New Englanders are mean. Like I think when Noah Khan said I'm mean because I grew up in New England, that hits, and like I resonate with that, unfortunately. And it's something that like doesn't sit well in my soul, but I do take a weird amount of pride in. Oops. And like I am the problem, to be fair. But I just like, I feel like whenever I travel to other places in the country, I'm always like, oh my God, people are going to be so much nicer. And they just never are. Like they just across the board never are. So I think that is kind of like an overblown stereotype. Would you ever live anywhere besides New England? Yes, I would. I think, like I said, New England has so many pros, but there's so many places in this big wide world. And I think that's something that I should never sleep on. What does self-care look like for you? That's a great question. I think self-care for me is not being on the internet in any capacity. That's when I feel most at peace. So any activity that takes me out of my phone and out of just like that hellscape that is the internet, which is being outside, going for walks. Like that's such a big thing for me. And a big part of that is because I'm not on my phone. I mean, granted, most of the time I'm listening to something on my phone or talking to someone on my phone, but it's not the same as you all know. Or reading fully takes me out of my brain. Cooking fully takes me out of my brain. Like anything that I'm just like kind of disassociating is self-care to me. First concert you ever saw, favorite concert, and someone you'd love to see live. There's so many people I would love to see live. First of all, I would love to see Gracie Abrams live. I would love to see Noah Kahan live, obviously. I said there's so many and I can only think of two at the moment. First concert I ever saw was the High School Musical, the concert. Yeah. Yeah, ever heard of it? I went to High School Musical, the concert when I was in first grade, I think, with my best friend. It was like our like big Christmas gift that year. And then we went, I think it was like shortly after Christmas actually. And we went to that concert and it was unreal, except I'll never forget that's how I discovered that Zac Efron wasn't singing the songs, because Drew Seeley was there, who famously, I don't know if Zac Efron only didn't sing in the first, that was not proper English, I'm so sorry. But I don't know if he was, because he definitely didn't sing in the first movie. I don't know if he ended up singing in the second and third movie, if they ended up using his voice then, but they used the voice of Drew Seeley in the first High School Musical movie. And this concert was after the first High School Musical movie came out. And I remember being like, who is this fool on stage? Who is this Drew Seeley that you speak of? And they played it off like it was, because Zac Efron was filming Hairspray, which he probably was. Like, that definitely was also true because he was in Hairspray, but it was also because like he didn't sing. So like they got Drew Seeley to fill in for him, who happened to also be his actual voice in the movie. So that was fun. I like have fond memories of that. Favorite concert I've ever been to is the Eras Tour. Like I hate to say it, and I don't know, it would be hard pressed for something to compete with that, just because, I mean, the range that we got and the experience, like the overall vibe of that concert, and the fact that it was essentially like 12 concerts in one, like you can't beat it. The theatrics, like the staging, like everything was too good. I think it would be really, really, really hard to beat that. Thoughts on Taylor Frankie Paul being the Bachelorette? I was like shocked, and I wasn't. The Bachelor franchise is dying. Like, we all know that. No one cares about The Bachelor anymore. Sorry if you do care. I'm sorry if you do care. But like, relatively speaking, I think in the world of reality TV, people aren't caring about The Bachelor anymore because it is boring. It's boring compared to all of the other like dating reality TV shows that we see. Like, it is the most boring by far. And I think a lot of it is because it's so like family friendly in terms of like it's on ABC, it's on weeknights, you know. It's like I think they just really got themselves into that box, and like people are like, oh, but it's like so much more fun to watch the streaming service versions of dating reality TV shows. So I don't know. I think The Bachelorette got old. And so I think this is their way of trying to breathe new life into it, which is an interesting attempt. I'm not like a huge Taylor Frankie Paul stan, to be honest. I don't think it's the right show for her. I find that I could see her on like Love Island. I could see that. So I'm very curious to see how that will go. I don't really think I'm gonna watch. That being said, if everyone's watching, like maybe I would. But I just like, I don't know. I hate the format of it. I just, it doesn't interest me. I hate the week to week for like months on end. I don't know. I think it's like a smart move on their part, but it's not something that I'm like, I don't know if I'll be tuning into. Okay. What did you study, babe? I studied English. Someone else actually asked, oh, you've mentioned at one point that you were an ed major in college. Why the drop? Okay. So my college major lore, I went into college. I applied to colleges as a political science major. Probably a shock to no one. And then before I even got to college, like before I even started my first day of class, I changed my major to education. I think it was elementary education. And in the state of Massachusetts, and I'm sure many other states, if you are an education major of any kind, you need to pair it with a liberal arts degree so that you have some sort of like specialty. So this could be a history, this could be a psychology, this could be an English, a math, it could be whatever you want it to be, right? And so I chose to pair my elementary education major with an English major. So I was a double major, elementary ed and English. And then I was an education major for just 1 year. Just 1 year. For just the 1 year, I did 2 semesters of education classes and I thought, no, thanks. It just honestly, it wasn't interesting to me at all. And obviously like a lot of education classes are about like this psychology of like children and like different teaching styles. And that was all extremely boring to me. And I also realized I would be a horrible, horrible, horrible teacher. I don't really know that really factored into my decision as much as it should have, but that over time, that's something I've realized to be true. It's like I would truly be an awful teacher. I have the least patience of anyone I know in my entire life. Like I would actually be awful at it. And the bane of my existence, truly, and I don't say this in jest, this is like earnestly, the bane of my existence is stupidity, and kids are stupid by nature. And I don't fault them for that because they can't control it. They're children. That's their whole thing is that they're learning as they go. And I respect that. But I do not have the patience to withstand being in their presence for longer than 30 minutes in a teaching capacity. I just don't think it. So I did all of your children a solid by recusing myself from the role of an elementary education major. I said no. I tried it on for size. No, thank you. That being said, I stuck with my English major because I was like, I've already done a year of being an English major. Might as well not drop both of my majors that I've put, time and energy into. So I kept English and I added marketing. And so then for my sophomore and junior and senior year, I was an English and marketing major until my senior year when I discovered I could not do both and graduate on time. Shoot. I wish someone had told me that sooner. And so then what I ended up doing was dropping the English major. I know it's the bane of my existence. It is my least favorite thing that I've ever, it is my one great regret in this life. And that's why I always say I was an English major. I do not have an English degree. I was an English major. I have a marketing degree because I said, let's follow the money, baby. Let's become a marketing student. And joke's on me because now I work for myself. And the reason for that is because of my vocabulary. And that, the irony is not lost on me. If I were to ever go back to school, I really want to get an MFA in creative writing at some point in my life. I think it'd be chic to do that when I'm like 50, but maybe it'll be sooner. I don't know. Okay. What is your relationship like with your brother? Has your relationship changed? Age gap, ? Not Dave getting a shout out. My brother and I are really close. There's a 6-year age gap between us. So he is 21 and I am 27. And yeah, we've been really close since, we've always, my mom's going to disagree with everything I'm about to say, but she knows deep down I'm right. We've always been, that's a lie. We haven't always been close because we had a weird age gap growing up where like we were always on completely different wavelengths. Like I was in middle school and he was in elementary school. Like we never had any overlap in terms of like friends or things that we were like going through in life. So that made it hard for us to be close at a younger age. But I kind of like that. I kind of think that was, and I think it was for the best. It was definitely for the best for my parents. I'll tell you that much because I required a lot of attention. And so it was like for the best that my brother wasn't also going through the same things that I was going through. That was really, unintentionally smart planning on their part. But yeah, so I think we've gotten so much closer as we've gotten older. I think like really during college / COVID, because COVID happened my senior year of college, like that is when we really started to become so close because we were just spending so much time together. He was in high school, I was in college. So we're starting to be on more of like an even playing ground in terms of like the things that we're watching on TV were the same. And like, there was just more overlap in things that were happening in our lives. And so we started bonding then. So I feel like when we were younger, I was very much like older sister, like the role of like older sister, like baby brother was like very much intact. And now we're friends. Now we're friends and we get along decently well. No, we're actually really close. And I am grateful that we get along as well as we do. Would you ever consider having your mom on the podcast? Did my mom pay you to say that? My mom wants to come on the podcast so bad. And I definitely will have her on at some point because clearly there's a demand for it. Okay, what else? Question, when will it end? I fucking hate it here. I don't know. I don't know. If you were a dog, what breed would you be? Golden Doodle. No, and I wouldn't. Obviously. I would be some... that's a good question. I would be a dog that's... I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. Because a Golden Doodle, I think I actually do have a lot of overlap with. Because they are annoying and everywhere. And I relate to that. And that's aspirational to me. But if I'm answering you in earnest, and I hate Golden Doodle, and I hate myself. That's a joke, obviously. No one bought that for even a second. Relax. No, I don't. What kind of dog would I be? Definitely not like a golden retriever by any means, but also not like a Chihuahua. And you didn't ask what breeds wouldn't I be, so this probably isn't helpful at all. Not that you're writing a report on this. Maybe like maybe a dachshund? No, not even a little bit. I need to think about that and get back to you because that's something I'm weirdly taking so seriously. Do you care about color analysis? If so, what do you think your color season is? I don't care about color analysis. People have asked me a lot, actually. Have I gotten my colors done? Because I tend to wear colors that I look good in, or people say this, and this is not a brag. This is based on real life facts. Oh my God, how do you look so good in every color? And I don't. The thing is I only wear colors that I look good in. I am, and people forget this, I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus, and I'm an aesthete. I love things that are aesthetically pleasing. And so I know what colors I look good in and what colors I don't look good in, and I act accordingly, and I act in accordance to that. But I've never gotten my colors done. Every time I watch videos of people getting their colors done, I am wrong every single time. They're like, does this one look good or does this one look good? I'm like, oh my God, that one looks so much better. They're like, this one washes you out and makes you look ugly. I'm like, okay, no, awesome. Actually awesome. Do you play Candy Crush? I don't. I've been saying, I've been in my solitaire era. Have you ever considered doing some work or projects for teen girls? Yes, I actually, well, not necessarily teen girls, but girls in general. Yes, I've been circling in my brain, some nonprofit ideas of things that I think would be really fun to do at some point. And I just think, I think the world needs it, quite frankly. Not me in particular. The world is calling and needs me specifically. No, I just mean in general. I think the girls need it. Fall clothing essentials. Okay, one of my favorite fall things to wear is sweaters from Reformation, cashmere sweaters from Reformation. They're expensive. Listen, they're expensive. They're expensive, but they are amazing. I literally love them. I eat, sleep, and breathe in them in the fall and winter. What I really like about them, I think the one that I get is called the oversized boyfriend sweater. It comes in so many different colors. A few of them are striped. So you can get some patterned ones. They're really cute. But they are the perfect weight. They are not heavy at all, which I kind of realized this about myself. I hate a heavy sweater. I hate a chunky sweater because guess what? I also have to wear a coat. I no matter what, I'm going to be wearing a coat, and having a chunky, thick sweater on and then having to put a coat on sends me actually over the edge. I actually don't have the capacity to deal with that. So I actually love these sweaters from Reformation because they are obviously so soft because they're cashmere, but they're also very, very lightweight, and they feel good. The fit of them is so perfect. They're the perfect length. They don't have a lot of shape to them, but they're not boxy, which is that's a hard balance. It's a hard thing to find. I love them. Those are something I really strongly advocate for. Another fall clothing / winter clothing essential is coats. Like I can't stress the importance of coats enough. And I know that sounds like duh. No, because 9 times out of 10, the only thing that people see you in is the jacket or the coat that you're wearing because it's so cold. This obviously is dependent on where you live. For me specifically, 9 times out of 10, what they're seeing is the coat. And so I'm going to make sure that the coat is cute too. And so I'm a big coat girl to a fault, to a detriment. Another life hack, buy or when you're shopping for a coat or a jacket, look in the men's section. The men's section always has the best coats in a way that is considered rude and a hate crime to me, quite frankly. Like it's not real. Like why is that cute ass coat marketed to men? They're not appreciating it the same way that I am. So don't be afraid to shop in the men's section when it comes to coats, fleeces, jackets, etc. What are your favorite how hard can it be boys do it posts that people have done? Mine is the astronaut. Yes, there's been, I think a couple of astronauts have used the sound. My all-time favorite one that comes to mind was it was a man. And the funny thing is, I'm not kidding. No, there's this incredible professor of chemistry, organic chem, at Holy Cross in Massachusetts, and his name's Andre Isaacs, and we are mutuals on TikTok now, and we have been for like 2 years a year, probably a year and a half. He is a professor at Holy Cross. I just said that. Anyways, he used the sound in his organic chemistry class, and he showed all of the girly pops that were in his organic chemistry class, which obviously, as you all know, like historically and statistically speaking, unfortunately, STEM classes are not predominantly made up of women. And so he used the sound to showcase the fact that the girls severely outnumbered the boys in that class. And I loved that. And all the girls are lip syncing to it. That one like actually made me cry. I don't think I've cried at any of the other ones. So that one is one that sticks with me. And it was also just, I think it also just showcased the importance of men uplifting and supporting and empowering women, which was kind of a cool, fun little twist on the trend itself. So I really liked that. How are you doing, girl? Not really great, but fine, I would say. What made you get into content creating and podcasting? This is interesting. A lot of people have asked this. Nothing made me get into it. I think that's important. I mean, podcasting, like I said, is a little bit different. Creating content, I just like had a lot to say and I guess same goes for podcasting. I had a lot to say and I wanted to share it with people. That was it. I think there's this like misconception that it's like one day you wake up and you're like, I'm going to be a content creator. And I don't think that really ever works out for anyone. I think it's just having something to say and having something you want to share with the world. And in my case, it was like stupid things I say. And I just like, that was it. I just like had funny content to make. So I made it and I posted it. But I think a lot of people, because I've had a lot of people from my real life reach out to me since this became my job. And I think it's interesting. A lot of people are like, okay, I really want to become an influencer. Like, how do I do this? And it's like, that's not the way to go about this at all. First of all, I don't think no one that I know that also has this job went into it being like, okay, this is my plan to become a content creator, to become a full-time content creator specifically, because I think people just assume that you can just like start doing it and it'll just like work out. I was making content for 3 years before I gained literally any traction at all. So it's just something that it's kind of the consequence of creating content was the fact that it became my job in a way that is really fortuitous, and I'm extremely grateful. But it definitely wasn't something that I like set out to do in like a full-time capacity. I just like had funny things to say, I thought, and I was like, I'll just post about it. Your all-time favorite movies. I'm really like not a movie person. It would take me a really long time to conjure up some movies that I like. I don't really have the attention span for movies, unfortunately. And I am just like, I really am a TV girly through and through and through. Like to a weird level. Like the shows that I watch, I'm obsessed with. I like study them, and I really, really commit to them. I love TV. Not a big movie person. Okay. What's your Labubu hot take? My Labubu hot take is that I don't have one. I think it's weird to care so much one way or another. No, if people like Labubus and they're obsessed with them, okay. I literally could not care less. I think sometimes there are certain things in our society that people hate on with such passion and such fury that I'm like, this is just like such a non-issue, and it's like weird that you're making it one. Maddie, why don't you have a boyfriend? Is it because you have standards? That's definitely part of it, but also it's not even, yeah. Also, just have you seen the state of men? Do you ski? Is there skiing in Massachusetts? There is skiing in Massachusetts. I do not and never have skied. Chili's or Applebee's? Are you actually off your rocker? Chili's. Every single time, Chili's. Apple. No, that's... And honestly, like the fact that you put those two things in the same category, even though they definitely are direct competitors, heinous and foul. Go take a lap. Overall opinion on Love is Blind UK season 2, it was flawless. It was the best season of Love is Blind across the board. Okay. Did you finish The Buccaneers, and what are your thoughts? No, I simply never got around to it. I will finish it because I did really like it. I just like, it's one of those weird things that I just kind of like never circled back to. You would make the most hilarious mother. Do you want kids? Wow. Loaded question. I think yes. Yes. If all of the circumstances were perfectly aligned, then yes. It's so interesting you say that, because the other day someone told me that I am not marriage material. Someone in my DMs who like had followed me for years wanted to swipe up and let me know that I am not marriage material. And like, she thought it was hilarious. And I was like, that is just kind of incredibly rude. I'm like so perplexed by that. Opinions on fall in the Midwest. I don't have a single, I literally could not conjure up a single opinion on that. Would you ever do a meet and greet? It depends on all of the circumstances. Like, would I ever just be like, hey guys, I'm going to be here? No, that is actually my worst nightmare. That being said, if you see me in public, feel free to say hi. Especially if you're a podcast listener. Oh my God. And lead with that, please, because then I feel like we're just instantly on another level. But no, not in that capacity. Like if in another capacity, potentially. Do you wish you had a little sister? No. Okay. There have been times in my life when I like really wish that I had a sister, but overall, no. I think it's for the best that I didn't have a sister, because like I said, like I required a lot of attention from my parents. And I think I feel like I was very lucky that my brother did not really. So like the balance was perfect. I think I would have suffered if I did not have the amount of attention that I had. And I think another, like a sister competing for that attention would have probably not been the best for me. I'm saying a lot of that in jest, but also very, very seriously. If you were a sandwich, what kind would you be and why? Probably a turkey club, because it's reliable and everyone loves it always. Served with a crispy ass dill pickle on the side. 100%. Why didn't you do the drunk things I said in Horrible Bosses eps? If you ever see me post links for write-ins and then you don't see the episode, it's because I either didn't get enough write-ins or they weren't good, or both. Oftentimes it is both. It's like I just didn't get enough good write-ins. So maybe I'll post them again at some later date, but I've tabled them for the time being because I just don't have the amount of content that I would need to make an actual episode off of it. Where are you from, and do you think that place has impacted who you are today? Yes, I think being from Massachusetts has absolutely impacted who I am today, in a negative way. I think it's given me a superiority complex. No, but I mean, being in a state that, and I know that this is like, being in a state that really values education and is very progressive has absolutely shaped the person that I am today. That's all I'll say. When did you realize your gift of comedy? That is so sweet. Was there a specific moment that it clicked? No. I've always liked making people laugh. No, this is unfortunately one of those things where I think I have always had the confidence of a unskilled white man. Like I I always knew I was funny. And if someone ever thought that I wasn't funny, which hasn't really happened that much, but if someone ever like didn't get my joke or something, I truly am like, that's a you problem and not a me problem. And I think that is really truly a beautiful thing. Is your first name Madison or Madeline? Neither. Why are you so gorgeous? Stop. Thank you. The fuck is up with your thumb bandage? Okay, that's honestly rude. But do you think this is like a choice that I made? Do you think I chose to have a thumb bandage? Also, thumb update. It's healing nicely-ish. I did re-split it open a few days ago, but not to the same level. Thank God. That would have been actually disgusting and disturbing. But I think that did, it created a little bit of a setback in my healing process, but it is still healing very nicely. Do you have a normal person job or just social media / the pod? Just social media and the pod, which is a normal person job. It just looks a little bit different. Love you and the pod. When are you going to visit Norway? Love from a Norwegian listener. I want to visit Norway so bad. Just so bad. I don't know. I don't have anything planned yet, but it is like top of my list, which was actually another thing that someone asked was where are places I want to travel to. Norway's really up there. Sweden's up there. Finland's up there. Are you seeing a theme here? London, obviously. Edinburgh, obviously. I have some trips planned for the rest of this year, so that's exciting. To some of those places, which is exciting. But those are like, I think right now, like the places that I want to travel to the most are just so many different European countries because I've never been to Europe. And also Banff. I want to go to Banff so bad, which is in Canada for anyone who doesn't know. And I want to go to Alaska really, really bad. I would say like states wise, like Alaska is my number one. I want to go there so bad. So bad. But yeah, I would say that's my list as of right now. What makes for a good hot girl walk? The best hot girl walk is when you're on the phone with your best friend. I've always said that. Actually, what really makes for the best hot girl walk is when you've been walking for like half an hour and then your best friend calls you, because it makes you walk for like another hour and then so much time has gone by and you've walked so far and you don't even realize it. That is the perfect recipe. But also perfect weather. That's really, it is hard because recently I've been dressing for cool weather because it's so cold in the morning. But then like literally 1 mile into my walk, I am roasting and I'm so hot and I end up cutting my walk short because I'm just like not dressed appropriately. So that's always a hard thing too. Also, a walk in a different place. I think like I'm a strong advocate for that. Like you have to shake it up. We have to be shaking it up. It's just like, it really is something we have to shake up. If you could relive or skip to a year, which would it be? I would definitely not skip to a year. No. If I could relive a year, that's hard. Maybe like 2020. I'm like, bring back COVID, baby. No, 2022, I think is the year that I would relive, right? No, 2023. I think. Yeah, 2023. That's the year that this became my full-time job. And I don't think I appreciated a lot of it in the moment. And that makes me sad. And I wish I had appreciated all of the wins that were happening that year in the moment more than I did. What's your advice for making friends? I've started college in the UK and I don't know where to start. I think something that really helps when making friends in college specifically is remembering that like everyone's on the same page as you. Everyone also is in the same boat. Everyone also wants to make friends, and to just like get over that initial weirdness. Cause like obviously there's a certain element of like, this is awkward cause like I don't really have friends and you probably don't really have friends and like we want to be friends. You just kind of have to like get over yourself to some extent and just like go for it. Just be like, make friends in classes. That's so important. Even if they don't end up being like actual, friends out of class, just talk to people as much as you can. Whether it's like, oh, have you started working on this paper? Or like, oh, what dorm do you live in? Or like, oh, like just anything. Like small talk is actually how so many people become friends. Also, I met one of my best friends in college. I met because I was out with my friends and we went to like our like late night dining spot on campus, and she was like sobbing. She was really drunk and she was like sobbing. And me and my friends, we took her in, and she became one of my best friends in college. So just like, you also never know how you're going to meet people. And I think just like have an open mind and just approach people crying in public, and they'll become your friends. It's a life hack. How did your parents raise such an icon? Seriously, things they did that had an impact. Oh, God. This is just like... okay. My parents, I think they just always encouraged me to be myself, this is so interesting because I posted about this when I posted on my birthday. I posted like a ton of pictures of when I was a kid, and people were like, wow, so you've just like always been like this? And I was like, yes. I think I was always encouraged to be myself and to go after what I want, and that like nothing, truly the sky is the limit. Like, and I feel like that is how a lot of people are raised. I just think it stuck for sure. And I just had so much support, and I still to this day have so much support from my parents. And I think having the kind of unconditional support of people that you love and you know and you are around makes you so confident, because I just always was like, I know that I have people that believe in me. And that was, I think, just reiterated to me just enough as a child to make me a little bit insufferably confident at times. Okay, a couple more here. I'm needing your fall bucket list. What are your must-dos for getting into the fall spirit? For me, my fall bucket list always is things to cook or bake. I love making cinnamon rolls in the fall. That's like a fall staple for me. I love making lots of soups in the fall. I love making lots of pasta dishes. And I love going on Pinterest and just like saving a ton of recipes. And then like every Sunday or every time that you have a day off, bake something, because it's like the coziest thing that you can possibly do. And you can it's very like low stakes. It kind of takes the pressure off of it, because I feel like people feel like a lot of pressure to like go out and do all of these things. Go apple picking. I do love going apple picking. That is peak fall for me. And like get outside as much as you can, of course, but also like just enjoy like the coziness of the season. And for me, that's cooking and baking and being a hermit with like a fuzzy blanket. Like that is really the vibe. So I always have like a list of like things that I want to cook or bake throughout the fall season that will make me feel cozy and very autumnal. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. I will chat with you next Monday, and that's all she wrote. Bye.